Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we are going to talk about American politics in context to the Ukraine war. We're specifically going to talk about Peter Zeihan's answering of a question that I had asked in my head many times, and actually had not really asked other people because I didn't know who could possibly answer it. But Peter Zeihan is definitely the guy to answer this kind of stuff. He is really fascinating. He is a really fascinating gentleman. Peter Zeihan is probably the most. He is the number one demographics expert in the world. People could debate that; they'd be wrong. But, but he's a really super fascinating guy, and he is absolutely worth listening to on any topic. But what I thought was really interesting was he asked this question. He said, "What would an in-palace coup end the Ukraine war in Russia?" Right. So this would be Putin's own men rising up and taking him out of power, and that could happen. There'd be different. There'd be two or three different ways that could happen, but essentially, there were the people who serve Putin could end could end Putin's position of power, make sure that he really had no more power in the country. Right? I was really fascinated. I had thought this exact issue. I'm like, this is going on. I think the Ukraine war has been going on. I think it's been going on since February 2023. So we're looking at, I think, 16 months of this. And I think it's shocking. It's shocking to the whole world that there are tanks shooting at tanks in the middle of Europe. Like, it's just, it's astounding. Like, it is a shocking reality because no one expected this. And many people today, Ryan Macbeth has already said that he believes we're in the beginning of World War III right now, and I agree with that. I think if you look at what's happening, America, dollars on the ground in the Ukraine war, not boots on the ground, but dollars on the ground. UN terrified. Countries that were neutral for decades, seeking entry into NATO. This is the beginning of World War III. It's just a slow roll into World War III, in my humble opinion. So, and Ryan Macbeth is saying that, who is an absolute expert on these military issues, in my humble opinion. And so, really just fascinating. So I had asked this. So Peter Zeihan comes forward and gives a fantastic answer. He's like, that won't. The reason here's why this isn't going to happen. So he explained it. So one, he said that essentially, Putin is controlling Russia with 120 men, right? And so each one of those groups has their own group of mercenaries, essentially mercenaries, armed forces, and they control the army split up among those 120. Now, those 120 are all oligarchs, and Putin's at the top, and he's paying them cash down, right? And so that's why they support him for a few reasons. One of the biggest is he is paying them. He's paying them just, it's just a big, huge, like, money funnel, right? And they're taking, and in my humble opinion, they're taking the Russian people's money to do this, right? The second reason is he said, that's one reason why an in-palace coup would not happen, right? And actually, to be clear, Putin lives in a palace, right? So, yeah, it's really wild. So that's one reason. The second reason is this 120 men are loyal to him. They have been trained by him, and they have been they've been pulled up the ladder of success for 30 years. Right? This is how long this has been going on, since 1992, when the Soviet Union failed. That's when all this started, right? And so that's one reason that we're hearing it, right? So these guys are trained and loyal to Putin from 30 years of reflex, right? 30, yeah. So that that, from 30 years of reflex, that is one of the ways that this has been happening, which I thought was very interesting. And then here was the last. He said it is incredibly unlikely for an in-palace coup to occur in Russia because the guys who would be doing it, and Putin, they already did it. The guys that it would be done to, they already did it. They did an in-palace coup, and that's how the Soviet Union fell 30 years ago. So what would be being attempted to Putin? He literally knows the playbook. He essentially wrote it, right? Like he's already done it, right? So he knows what to look for. And so as soon as anybody even starts to organize this, Putin will recognize the steps in motion because he's already walked through those steps in motion, right? 30 years ago, right? And I was like, that is an incredible description of an incredible question, right? So I cannot suggest Peter Zeihan's channel enough. It's completely free. It's right here on YouTube. I listen to it virtually every day. He's brilliant. And I was really I really had this question in my head. I was like, why are we still dealing with this, man? Just one dude needs to find his two and handle Putin, and it's done, right? Like, and it was a fantastic answer to this issue. So I was really fascinated by this. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion on Peter Zeihan's take on this growing problem. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider liking, subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.